Hello, and welcome to another episode of Growing for Wholesale Standards. For today's episode, we're going to discuss the USDA grading specifications for yellow squash. Now, before I get into the exact USDA grading specifications, I like to share some tips and tricks and some reminders for you growers just to help you guys get the best quality graded #1 products off of your field. So don't forget to check your soil, and if you're looking to learn more about that, check out the video here. It's also in the description below. Don't forget to scout weekly. Again, that video where we discuss this in length is in the description as well as up in the corner. And don't forget that your buyer has a very particular date in mind when it comes to purchasing your product. So work backwards, knowing how many days it takes for your produce to fully mature, and boom, you have your planting date. Okay, so here you can see the USDA grading specifications.
Yep, those will be #1s. Yeah, this one's going to be a #1. You know, you want something you can get your hand around on the end.
And those are both #1s?
Yep, those will both be #1s.
Good shape, good length.
Yep.
Now remember, these just form the foundation of what most buyers use when it comes to grading. So before you begin selling, just make sure you know what your buyer expects your products to be graded like. Now in this show, when I talk about a USDA graded #1, I'm talking about the perfect produce here. I'm talking about grading with similar varietal characteristics, uniformity. And we're looking for produce that is free from damage, free from any wet breakdown, any scars, any damage from insects, any damage from freezing or mechanical or any means at all.
#2, it's a little bit rough. Probably going to be kind of tough when you're eating it. I don't know if you can tell it. This one's kind of a darker color. I don't know what causes it, but when they get like this, they tend to be a little tougher. It's pretty similar to that when they had the bumps. It's starting to get a few of them. I would probably call that a #2. It's a little misshapen, not hardly as pretty as some of the other ones. So that would be a #2. Both #2s.
There's a damage. Yep.
And you know, just the girth on this one's going to get you.
A USDA #2 is still just as safe to eat. It just suffers mainly from aesthetic damage. Now we're still looking for a lot of the same qualities here. We're looking for similar varietal characteristics, and we're looking for produce that is not entirely free from. It may have minor damage, but scarring and insect damage. Produce that suffers from major damage, from wet breakdown, from rot, from animals biting on it, this doesn't have a grade. And this doesn't have a grade because it shouldn't enter the market. This is your hog feed. This is your compost. When it comes to grading, we're still sending our #2s. And recently, they've been finding their ways into wholesale markets. So still, we're grading for a lot of the same qualities here, just knowing that the more perfect USDA #1 is going to your wholesale buyers, top quality, and your USDA graded #2s are mainly going to your food banks, but like I said, are recently finding ways into wholesale markets. Okay, so following USDA guidelines, you first want to wash your product, and then if you haven't already done so while harvesting, cut those stems down to 1 inch. You don't want them rubbing up against the other produce in the box, in transportation, or on the way to the buyer, causing damage and degrading the produce along the way. Then comes the sorting. Following USDA guidelines, you'll want to gently place your product into boxes, and you'll want to follow whatever your buyer guidelines are into how those should get boxed, whether you're boxing for a count or if you're boxing for a weight. Now, like any business, you want to build a healthy relationship with your customer. And when selling to wholesale markets, your buyer is your customer. And to learn and hear more about why that is so important to build a healthy relationship with your buyer, check out this video in the description below. But to sum up that conversation, when the buyer steps out onto the dock and they're opening up these boxes and they see uniformity, they see presentation, and they see a box that really is, perfect produce graded as a #1, what they would hope to expect, that goes a long way into building a healthy relationship and one that is very financially rewarding. On the other end, when if growers, slip in #2s into a box of #1s, and the dock buyer, sees this for the 3rd or 4th time, that really hurts. That really hurts your business, and that really hurts all the growers that are on that pallet that gets sold to the wholesale markets. Because like Appalachian Harvest, we work with 70 family farmers, and to meet these large demands, it's not all coming from one grower. So we usually patch together these orders from a lot of different growers. So one grower putting too many number 2s into a box can impact all the growers into that order. So it's really important. Building a healthy relationship with your buyer is also building a healthy relationship, if you're using an aggregator or distributor, with your fellow farmers and your community. Just keep that in mind when really grading and sorting into these boxes. Okay, so we boxed it up, and we're boxing according to whatever the buyer's needs are, whether that's a case count or a box weight. And then it's time to apply your labels. Now, the first label you'll want to apply is your PLU sticker. If you're not required to place it physically on the produce itself, just throw in enough to cover one for everything in the box, plus some extra just in case any get damaged along the way. And you want to place that on the outside of the box as your first sticker. The second label you want to apply after your PLU sticker is a trace of origin sticker. This lets the buyer know where the product was boxed, as well as it's certified organic or conventional. Lastly, you want to apply your traceback code sticker, and to learn more about that, check out the video in the description as well, and it's up here in the corner. Well, I hope that helps. Any questions, comments, you know, throw it in the comment section. We'll get back to you as soon as we can, and stick with us. We still got some great episodes coming up, and I hope to see you guys next time on Growing for Wholesale Standards.